Just the idea of this child, like, beating on two grown men and then, like, yeeting himself out of the window.
Like, well, I've done what I can here.
Yeah, what statement is he trying to make?
I laughed so hard at the idea of a child committing suicide. I feel so bad. I'm a bad person, guys.
Welcome to the Rewatchers on the Pod, the podcast where we watch stuff and then talk about it with our friends. I'm here with my friends. I'm Tyler Harris, here with
Riley Harris,
Gwen Hammer,
Justin Hammer,
and our very special guest,
Amber Sorenson.
Amber, thank you so much for joining us in our first ever live show
from the neighbor's basement.
It's live in front of the people who are on it. And maybe if we're loud enough, May and Tia, I don't know, maybe that'll
we
be
should have had them just on the couch and they could have clapped for us.
That would have been a joy.
I'm sure there would have been no snags at all.
No. And we watched, this is our holiday episode, because, surprise, surprise, holidays are next week and ongoing, depending on what holidays they are. But we... Amber chose Home Alone for us to watch. And I'm going to go ahead and summarize that, and then we will get right into discussion. So Home Alone, if you haven't seen it, everything that happened very quickly. Here we go. This house is a circus. That old guy from The Irishman is a cop now? Acting is crazy. Uncle Frank won't let Kevin watch the movie. No one has a voltage adapter. They expect a child to pack a suitcase? All these kids have parents, but none of them live here. Kevin still can't figure out how to pack. If Fuller has anything to drink, he will absolutely wet the bed that they are sharing. Buzz is concerned about the hygiene habits of French girls. Enter Chekhov's South Bend Shovel Slayer. Pizza delivery. Oh man, we're already getting callbacks. You know what? Kevin kind of is a little jerk. Gold tooth. How could that be important? And now Kevin's being exiled to the super upstairs. Kevin calls Moira Rose's bluff and doubles down on the wish that his family will disappear. The power goes out and everyone sleeps in. Mitch Murphy lives across the street, and boy does he have some questions. Masterful 12 Days of Christmas joke. The McAllisters participate in the O'Hare half marathon. It's a special kind of monster that leaves their children in coach and goes to sit in first class. There's a Balrog in the basement. Kevin has made his family disappear. It's a miracle on 34th Street. Kevin watches some angels with filthy souls. Someone finally realizes Kevin is missing. Wait a minute, is that the cop from earlier? He's actually a robber? The McAllisters make arrangements to cut their Parisian soiree very short. Kevin's not afraid anymore, unless he runs into the South Bend Shovel Slayer. She finally convinces the police to go check on her Home Alone son. When no one answers, the cop is convinced they must have miscounted their children. Mom McAllister does that mom thing. Kevin watches himself like the man of the house should, and then applies what could only be low-level acid to his face. The wet bandits go to work. Kevin goes shopping, then proves he is no better than the criminals he will mercilessly terrorize over the next hour. The bandits discuss crime philosophy. Guess the tooth was important after all. Go figure. The bandits literally Wile E. Coyote this kid. Kevin uses the Christ child like a smokescreen, then stages a fake rager at his parents. Frank is still a jerk in Paris. A, 2, and D is my new favorite listing convention. I remember that now. Kevin terrorizes the pizza guy. Kate barters for a ticket home. Airports pre-9/11 really were the Wild West, huh? I just learned Johnny Carson was on TV until 1992. Adult Kevin goes shopping. The grocery bags rip, and Kevin Jim Halpert's directly into the camera. Kevin defeats the Balrog. Marv scopes out the joint, and now Kevin truly begins to lighten the suffering of others. They really do grow up so fast. Mom McAllister is stuck in Scranton, the Electric City. What? The Electric City. Screw Santa, John Candy is the true gift giver of the holidays. The wet bandits learn the true identity of snakes. The Home Alone counter hits 3. Oh, that's them saying the Home Alone counter. Yeah, okay. Kevin attempts to enlist the help of a higher power. Kevin attends church with the South Bend Shovel Slayer. Wait, is the South Bend Slayer the real Santa? Kevin doles out some hard truths. Kevin fortifies his castle. The wet bandits make their move. Slippery stairs, iron to the face, superheated door handle, nail through the foot, blowtorch to the head, bang cans to the head, arachnophobia. These are just a few of Kevin McAllister's favorite things. Kevin pulls a classic clip, the zipline trick. Then the wet bandits hang him up to dry nearby before the South Bend Shovel Slayer comes to the rescue. The wet bandits are apprehended, and then the shoveler drops Kevin off at his house. The Polka King talks to Mama McAllister about the difficulties of parenthood, and he talks about the time he left his kid to the funeral home. Mama McAllister arrives home literally minutes before the rest of her family. Harry's tooth is in the entryway, and the South Bend Shovel Slayer is reunited with his family. Christmas dinner commences, and hearts are warmed.
That was truly impressive.
It's really fun to see you do that in real life.
Thank you.
After having listened to it for months, it's just so impressive.
I always write alliterations without realizing I'm going to have to say them as fast as I can, then can never execute them correctly. So,
Quick sidebar. You guys know Shannon Hale? She writes books for little people to be read out loud, and I can just see her giggling to herself, writing the hardest sentences. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah.
Back to Home Alone.
She's the Kevin McAllister of...
Yes, yes she is.
She just wants to watch people suffer. This movie's awesome. Amber, why? Why Home Alone?
Because when I volunteered to do this, it was October, and I couldn't think of any other movies. And
Fair enough.
we didn't really watch a ton of holiday movies when I was a kid. My mom hates A Christmas Story, so...
I think a lot of moms do.
Yeah.
Our mom does not
Yeah.
like Christmas Story. Now she doesn't care, but when we were growing up, she definitely didn't.
So the only one I remember watching really is Home Alone.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let's do these. And then I was watching part of it with my younger siblings, and it was the bandits going through the House of Horrors scene, and it's really hard to watch as a grown-up.
It's horrifying. I will say, so we talked about this briefly before. Home Alone 3 was on the television when I was donating plasma this week, and that movie just feels like a child absolutely taking the purest delight in just fucking up adults. This movie has a really nice journey of Kevin going from like, I'm a kid home alone, I've got to be the man of the house, I've got to fight these guys. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
It's
Justin
like a satisfying journey for sure.
was wondering how people, very smart people, just decide to become serial killers.
We'll
is
we'll
it.
talk about that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
This is how it starts.
It's a teaser.
Home invasion.
Yeah. I mean, this... Okay, I will say, it had been a while since I'd watched this movie. And watching it again, I was like, this script is pretty good. They cover a lot of holes. They, like, set everything up. I want to talk really quickly about Mitch Murphy.
The across the street
The
neighbor.
across the street neighbor. Wow. What a child.
Precocious.
That's a word for it. Better than the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, like that whole thing, I really feel like the first act of this whole movie is just this crazy ballet of just setups and callbacks and like justifications. It's so good.
Well, and the setup is brilliant. Because actually watching it, like, on purpose to pay attention to it
Yeah.
for the first time as a grown-ass woman, like... Can I say words on this? Can I say
Oh yeah,
yes.
the curse
I
words?
think I've already said several.
I don't
So,
swear.
yeah,
I don't
please
swear
do.
on my podcast because
I'm not
I
getting
feel like
paid enough to censor words.
people won't. My very conservative family wouldn't listen to it if they were interested in listening to it. If I swore on it, so I just don't swear on my podcast.
We've lost those people a long time.
I mean, there is a dollar amount that would get me to do that, and it's not even that high.
Also, my co-host doesn't swear, so it's kind of weird when it's just me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
No worries.
although occasionally. Anyway, why all the setup for everything that goes wrong to lead up to them leaving Kevin at home? Because I wrote these all down because I thought it was really smart. When the milk spills all over the table, and the boarding passes and the passports are right there,
Yeah.
and they grab the napkins to sop it up, and then the dad throws a boarding pass in the trash can.
Yeah.
So they don't get to the airport and be like, oh, we have an extra boarding pass. Where's Kevin?
Yeah.
They don't have his
never
boarding
noticed
pass.
that.
It's in the trash. And I have never noticed that before either, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it really is. And that stuff, like, it happens so quickly that, like, it is one of those things that I think is rewarding to go into knowing, like, what's going to happen. Because I was even thinking, like, it's kind of ridiculous. And it might not happen nowadays, but even like the phone, like the phone lines are out, you know, and like, so that's why they can't just call and check on him. And like all this, there's just every like thing was thought of, and it's done in a way that is kind of invisible, like if you're not looking for it, for sure.
And the power goes out, so their alarm clock doesn't go off. That would never happen today.
Right.
Because everyone's alarm clock is their cell phone.
Yeah.
Your cell phone can live through the night, probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Good old guy. As I pat myself up, I've never called him that before. Sorry, Terrence.
And now it's on the internet forever.
Yeah. Oh man, that was the worst thing. But yeah, I guess Gwen, I actually do want to get your opinion on this specifically too, because have you watched this since you are now a parent?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I want to get that perspective, because
I think first after May was just born, and then not for a couple of years until earlier this evening. But this is my Christmas movie, man. I love it. This and the Jim Carrey Grinch. I love every pratfall. I love every overdone scream. I love the improbability of the bandits stepping into every single one of the traps. I just love it.
They're so, seriously, the traps are so methodically planned out, like the nail in the foot. You have to put that nail on the fourth step, because you got to get a shoe off, and then a shoe off, and then a sock off, and then a sock off. Oh, I guess the fifth step. So I didn't even... Yeah. This isn't second nature to me. I don't kill people. But, man, yeah, like, everything about that is so thought out and ridiculous.
And then the ornaments under the window. He had to have bare feet for that, too.
Right, yeah.
I feel like
Kevin foot-based torture.
Maybe had this plan in mind and was waiting for a chance to adapt it and enact it. Because, I mean, he came up with it real fast.
Yeah. He was planning it for Buzz.
Yes.
And then it just happened that it worked out to plan on these guys.
Having lived with a 7-year-old boy up until about a month ago, when I was living with my family, yeah, they're dangerous. We've had, like, brothers stick thumbtacks under the pillowcase.
Oh my
poking out through the pillow on it's not far off, unfortunately.
Devious.
Terrifying.
And they would just call them traps. Oh, don't go in there, there's a trap in there.
At least he warned you.
Right? Which seems like a bad move, but
he's just practicing for the home invasion is all.
I mean, he's no Kevin McAllister, obviously, but we're watching an 8-year-old at the top of his game, top of his trap game. Riley, had it been a while since you'd watched it too, or had you watched it pretty recently?
Yeah, it'd been, I think, a couple years, and then I watched it a couple weeks ago, and then I watched it again today to refresh. But yeah, I love it because the thought of a world where an 8-year-old boy is home alone but still dresses himself with like a button down and a sweater over it and decides to go grocery shopping with his time is just like incredible. Like, I want to live in a world where 8-year-olds do that. Like, they're just little adults.
Bathrobes over their jammas.
Yeah.
Like, does anyone do that in the real world? I'm genuinely curious. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I think you have to, like, be over a certain age or make over a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or be my 7-year-old brother.
Oh, no! What?
He is Kevin McAllister.
He loves space, and his best friend got a new robe for his birthday, and his old robe was space. So he gave it to him, which is the cutest thing I have ever seen.
That's adorable.
But he does, he wears it over his jammies.
That's really
amazing.
cute.
Yeah, I think I owned a robe in my life, and it was around when I was that age, and it just hung in the closet. Never put on my body, I don't think. But yeah, let's just talk about some of the characters in this movie, because I think for me, like, this rewatch again, just like going back through it, I was just fascinated by how well drawn all the characters are. Even the really small characters have what seem to be very interesting interior lives. Like, even the one that stuck out to me this time for some reason is the woman at the grocery, I don't even know if it's a grocery store, but like the convenience store. Yeah. When he's buying the toothbrush, and like that kid that chases after him initially, who I can't remember his name. It's like
Jimmy.
I feel like
Yes.
we switched to like 1950 all of a
Yes.
sudden
Oh, yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah.
Yep. I was like, oh, right. The world didn't change a lot until very recently, and it changed all at once.
Yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, just the idea of a family-owned convenience store right in the heart of downtown, across from the skating rink, and there's a cop outside all the time. Like, it's delightful. Yeah, I think that scene stands out to me too because of what Riley was saying is like Kevin McAllister begins to live his life with this odd perception of time because his family's gone for, I think she said at the end, 60 hours or something, like 2.5 days. And he's done laundry, he's gone grocery shopping, he's done all these things. I'm like, I can very easily go 2.5 days without doing any of those things.
He thinks it's forever, though.
Yeah,
He's
it
like,
really
all right,
is.
I got to start doing this
Yeah.
because this is my life now.
Yeah.
And, like, I forget that Kevin legitimately believes it's magic. He legitimately thinks his family vanished.
Yeah.
Because, like, he prays about it, he, like, makes wishes about it so they'll come back.
Yeah.
Like, if he's good, which breaks my whole heart. So, yeah, he's like, okay, I'm the adult now. We're out of milk because we drank it all yesterday and spilled it all over the countertop, so gotta go get some more milk.
Yeah. So good.
So good.
Yeah, the lengths that he goes to. I mean, the scene that will always get me is just the fake party where he has ropes tied to every limb and is just masterfully puppeteering a whole party.
Why do they have so many mannequins, though?
Right?
Yeah, that's the question.
They've got the basketball guy whose name I'm blanking on. They've got the one in the window.
wait,
I'm sorry. I can see his face.
No, basketball man.
The
Michael
basket-
Jordan. I'm sorry. For a second, my brain said Kobe Bryant.
Nope.
Wrong
Back a
era.
little bit further.
Yes, I
Wrong
know.
century.
But I was thinking while watching this, I think this movie gave me my fascination as a child with like Rube Goldberg machines because of all the intricate things he does around the house and how cool they all are.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, I think this movie gave me as a child anxiety about traveling with my family.
To be fair, you do have a large family.
I have a large family, and it would be very easy to lose one of us in an airport.
Well, and especially when you can just get there a minute before the plane takes off and you can run directly to the plane. Just get on.
Pre 9/11 was a different time.
Oh, man.
That is a baffling thing about this movie.
Just run through the airport. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one
good.
will be upset or afraid at all.
No.
And you don't have to wait in line for 3 hours on Christmas, December 22nd, or whatever day it was.
Yes. Oh man. So yeah, let's talk about the other main character I would say in this movie, Kate. Is that her name? Is that the mom's name? Let's call her Mama McAllister.
Isn't
think
her
so.
name actually Catherine, too?
It is,
It's
yeah, Catherine
right?
O'Hara, yeah, who is just the best. I love Catherine O'Hara with every fiber of my being.
I still haven't watched Schitt's Creek, and I never felt guilty about it until we watched this. And I was like, oh, I am missing out, and I know it.
Yes, she is phenomenal.
She's in
Schitt's Creek.
Beetlejuice too, right?
Yes, yeah, she
I
is.
also haven't seen that.
I also haven't seen it, but that was what popped into my brain.
That's why I love shows like this, because they make me watch all the things I haven't seen.
Yeah, she is. She's like just a great improv comedian too, because she's in like I don't know if she's actually in Spinal Tap, but a lot of those other movies. She's in Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman and all those. Like she is just great. But she's so good in this movie too, and I think like not only her performance, but I think the way she's written too. Like there was that moment when I was like, oh, the kids are in coach and they're in first class. What monsters are these? Like, yeah, you people can take care of my kids. See ya.
Yeah.
But then she asks that question too. She's like, is it kind of messed up that we're in first class? And he's like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. Just
Like-
a very dad answer, but
As messed up as the parents are, this time watching, I was amazed at how relatable she was as a mom. Like, oh, I've had that moment where I have two children who both think they're their emergency needs to be talked about right now, and I'm on the goddamn phone. So I was like, oh yeah, I've had that feeling. I understand.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly, like, I'm not a parent, but like I did find myself relating to her more this time watching it than I ever had before. Just simply, I think, because of age and stuff. But that scene where she's bartering for that plane ticket still, like, really crushes me a little bit. It's so, like, the desperation and just,
So
like...
well done.
so good.
And the nice grandma who's like, but this lovely young lady will give us all these things if we can go Friday. And her husband's like, no, it's fine. She has earrings at home. We're just leaving now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sweet grandma saves the day and lets her take her flight.
Yeah. And let's her
She's
get
probably
so
a
cute.
mama too.
Yeah. Speaking of fun parents in this movie, John Candy is also in this movie, who's just a god. And I don't think I'd ever... For some reason, another thing that hit me this time was his story about leaving his kid at the funeral home.
My God.
It's hilarious. Like, it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. And that delivery and his, like, earnestness of being like, kids are resilient. I mean, he didn't talk for 6 or 7 weeks, but he's fine. Like, the way that is just
Brilliant.
thrown away is so good.
All I can think about is being that kid. You're in there with a dead person. You're like a child, so you don't really understand that.
Yes.
Like, how terrifying. What? Like, I can't think about it too much because it freaks me out.
Yeah. Well, like, after having watched A Haunting of Hill House recently, too, and, like, there's a lot of scenes that take place in the back rooms of funeral homes that are really horrifying, and, like, woof. Woof.
Confession, that's another thing I haven't watched.
Oh,
I also haven't watched season 3 of Twin Peaks because I've been busy since October.
that's fair.
So behind now.
I know. I feel so bad about
get,
it.
like,
I'm waiting
detention.
for like one
Podcast
free
detention.
weekend so I can watch everything.
This is guilt-free. I think that most of this podcast is just me learning that I can't watch everything, and that's okay.
See, that's,
But I'm gonna try. I'm still gonna
therapy.
try. Yeah, exactly.
but I want to listen to them, and then it's hard to keep up with the fast summaries if I don't already know what's happening. Which is why I haven't listened to it yet.
You should listen to those episodes of our podcast blind and then just reconstruct the season and
oh,
tell us what you
this
think
is that.
happened. It
I
might
can
make
do
just
that.
as much
That
sense
might be-
as it.
Yeah, no. I could do that. I could do that.
If it makes you feel better, I just refuse to watch Hill House. Just straight up.
That's right. I forget that you didn't watch it. And that's
I
that's
watch
fair.
a lot of things at work. I opted not to watch the end of Twin Peaks at work because you never know. And
Yes.
It's a
Yeah,
good
that's
choice.
and I
choice.
tried to watch Hill House at
choice.
work, but it was too dark on my little phone, so I couldn't see what was happening. So that was like a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, David Lynch wouldn't want you watching on your phone anyways.
No.
So much Twin Peaks talk. I have so much Twin Peaks talk to give later, too.
I did notice your hat, by the way.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so anyways, Home Alone.
Sorry.
No, I mean,
This is what
it
we
wouldn't
do.
be an episode of this podcast if we got through it.
I started with a sidebar, so, you know.
That's why my first podcast only lasted 5 episodes. It was just all of this. Didn't work.
So I guess let's also talk about the Wet Bandits, the victims. I guess I don't know
The deserving victims.
deserving victims. I
Brought
guess
it upon themselves.
just 2 really great performances. Also, I think
yeah.
Joe
from, like,
Pesci and Howard. No,
Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw what
The
you-
dad is what's the dad's name? Howard Hughes. Is that who that?
I don't remember.
He just
his
passed
name.
away like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. It's funny because he is also in the only other thing I mean, I know that he's been in like a bunch of other 90s stuff, probably playing a dad, but the only other thing I really remember him from is he plays a dirty cop in Sopranos.
I saw his IMDb
Yeah.
credit, and I haven't seen The Sopranos, so
Yeah.
I need to go check that out.
It's weird seeing him, like, seeing some of the things he does in The Sopranos, and I'd be like, and just like every other man in The Sopranos, he then just went home to a family and left his son at home while they went
That's
to
how
Paris.
he's affording all these Paris trips.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but before you guys started talking about The Irishman, that Joe Pesci was like serious, super well trained, amazing actor.
It's phenomenal.
I only ever saw him in Home Alone.
I have a note about this. Let me find it. Hold on. Keep talking.
Yeah, he's and most of the other stuff I've seen him in, granted, is Scorsese stuff. But his stuff in Goodfellas, I can't remember. I think he might have won an Oscar for Goodfellas, but I'll have to check that. He better fucking win an Oscar this year, because god damn, The Irishman's real good. He's amazing. And Casino. He's also in Casino that Martin Scorsese did, but he's really good. And like, this is kind of in those years of him doing Casino and then this, and it feels like a really smart casting choice for parents who may have seen those movies and seen him be like just a crazy gangster ass dude.
Imagine taking your kids to this and you're like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
But
what are we in for?
I haven't seen him in anything else either, and I don't know if I could do it, having only watched this for 29 years. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Harry. Home Alone.
Yes.
He's going to get his head burned off with a blowtorch.
Oh, that head. That burnt head.
Poor
In,
bald
like,
head.
A lovely flower shape.
Yeah. I was noticing that
The
too.
remnants of his beanie that he was wearing, I think, is what that's supposed to be.
Yes.
But
So good.
but it's in a flower.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a patch of hair in the middle.
Kevin's an artist.
This isn't just defense. It is art.
It's performance art is what it is.
I mean, that's what separates, like, just normal people from serial killers, right?
Yeah.
Is that it? I don't know.
If
I don't
Kevin
listen to
could have
enough of
streamed it live, he would have.
I'm just going to take this second about serial killers and art to mention that y'all should watch Hannibal.
them. Yes, Amber has a podcast called Normal and Good. Is it the Normal and Good podcast or Normal and Good?
I call it The Normal and Good, but
Okay.
it really is just Normal and Good.
Okay.
Because that's what my blog was called, and I didn't want to have to rebrand it, so... And yeah, we're watching NBC's Hannibal.
Nice.
So
Serial killers as art.
Oh,
Or
beautiful.
serial
that's
killing
it. That's
as
the show.
art.
Yeah.
That's the whole show. You don't even need to watch it now. You're good. You got it.
Awesome. Thanks. I feel so much better.
Yeah, that whole section 2 is just a horrifying thing to encounter. And I think also being an adult, looking back on that and feeling the reaction I have to it now versus what I felt watching it then, where I was like, this is Looney Tunes. Like, this just feels like Looney Tunes as a kid. And now I just feel everything. And I'm like, oh, he has to walk up the stairs, and like my legs hurt a little bit. 'Cause I'm like, oh, not stairs. And then there's tar and a nail on the stairs.
So while we were watching, I kind of turned it into like life lessons for my kids. Like,
God.
this is why I tell you to walk slow and careful on the ice. And that's why I tell you to stay away from the ironing board, guys.
Because it's going to smash
God,
you in
I'm
the
such a mom.
Smart. Honestly.
It's amazing.
Fear is what kept me alive for this long, I feel like. So, you
It's
know.
what continues to keep me alive. So.
If I don't get up and don't go to work, I lose my apartment. That's the fear.
Yes, seriously. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What were some things that stuck out to you guys, or things that you felt like we need to talk about, just kind of looking through it?
I just love how everyone oversells everything in that whole sequence. Like the screaming and the yelling, and when Marv gets the tarantula
Yes.
put on him.
That's the best scream of
It's
the whole
the
movie.
best scream, and I
good.
love it so much.
Yeah.
Also, they would definitely be dead.
Broken ribs.
You would not survive maybe like one of those things. You'd be fine, but not cumulatively.
No. Definitely not
be
a
a
pound.
dead man.
Yeah. That paint can to the face is what always gets me, is like,
That'll fracture your whole face.
yeah. on.
Gonna need some reconstructive surgery.
There was a doctor, I read a couple articles about it because I was curious. I was like, wait, could you survive this? Probably not.
Yeah.
So the real story is, how did they survive? Are they aliens? Are they supervillains?
Okay, I legitimately had the thought towards the end of this movie as it was wrapping up, and like his mom comes through the door. I'm like, is Kevin dead? Is this just the transition to something after this life?
This is purgatory.
His wish finally coming true? Yeah, it's like, it's like the darkest I'd felt watching Home Alone in a while. And I was like, I need to go talk to someone immediately.
This is your sign.
Yeah. But like all of that, like that ending. The other thing about this movie is I feel like it hits every trope that you would want from a very like saccharine like holiday movie. Like it's got this heartwarming message. It's about the importance of family. You even see that with the man whose name I can't remember, the shovel slayer. Like that shot in particular is of Kevin looking out the window and seeing him like hug his granddaughter and then waving at him is so like, if you take that, you could put that in pretty much any Hallmark movie, I feel like. But this movie doesn't feel like that at all, but it still like hits all those same beats and like is solidly a holiday movie in that vein. And that it fascinates me. It's so cool to see that done that way.
I think it probably would have fallen flat without John Williams.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, would have felt kind of gross and preachy maybe, or maybe a little more like Hallmark, which I don't think I've actually ever seen a Hallmark movie, so.
I watched one time, and my friends never invited me to watch one again because I was roasting it the whole time. I was like, this is terrible.
My team at work, for our Christmas parties, we do Hallmark movie bingo of like the common tropes.
Oh, nice.
It's fun.
That sounds
Good.
It's too easy. Hallmark, Netflix, any other like in that vein, cookie cutter cheesy Christmas movie.
Yeah, Netflix has gotten in on that market,
Oh, yeah.
which is crazy. I mean, they make 1 million of those movies for a reason.
There are
People watch
3
them.
Yeah.
Christmas Prince movies.
Christmas Prince?
A Christmas Prince. The girl falls in love with a prince. Apparently they get married, and then they also have a child.
Oh, they're all
That's
like
the sequel.
like 1, 2, and 3. It's not like 3 different. Okay.
It's a whole... I saw a chart. All the movies are interconnected. Like, they're playing on the
No.
TVs in the other movies.
No.
Or, like, the
my
fictional country
gosh.
exists in the other universe, too.
How did you just sell me on Hallmark
was
movies?
gonna say,
I am
sorry.
so
Watch this.
fucking interested now.
I know. It's a problem.
Oh my god.
I mean, they're horrible, but it's great.
That's... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, John Williams is the reason that I buy those moments.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for
To
sure.
the level that I can for
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah, this has great music too. Like everything about all the music in this movie feels so iconic and it feels Christmassy, but it feels distinct. And as for Home Alone, like it's so good.
I just realized tonight that when he's leaving the church and he hears the bells ring and that bell song starts, I just realized tonight that that's not Carol of the Bells. For some reason, like it's that Christmassy that I thought it was Carol of the Bells. But
I thought it was, too. I was about to talk about it.
Yeah.
I've always thought that. I still
I
thought
think
it.
the
I still
choir...
think it right now. That's
I think
crazy.
the choir is singing Carol of the Bells.
Oh, maybe that's it.
And then it switches into like the da 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 da, whatever.
Oh,
My brain had
interesting.
it and then it lost it.
yeah, I can't think of what it is now.
But John Williams' music sounds so Christmassy so much of the time
Yeah.
that it's fun to have it actually be Christmassy.
I actually would love to see like that Jurassic Park, like some moments from Jurassic Park, like the score just dropped over Home Alone and see if it still works. Because it might.
amazing.
There's like some moments in Jurassic Park that might still work.
Don't do that.
I just picked it up and slammed it on the table for no reason. Gosh.
You've upset Justin.
Yeah, no. I'm so sorry.
I'm just thinking about Jurassic Park theme song. Home Alone now.
Oh, I did want to mention, you talking about Hallmark movies and other Hallmark movies being on in the background of Hallmark movies made me think of a weird Easter egg that I picked up this time that I don't even know if it can technically be an Easter egg. But, like, Kevin does turn on Miracle on 34th Street, and John Hughes wrote the script for the reboot.
Oh, like the remake one that they
Yes,
did
thank you.
with Matilda?
Yes.
What is her name? Mara Wilson.
Kate, yes.
There we
I was
go.
going to say Rooney Mara, Kate Mara. Nope, wrong. Right name, wrong place.
Yep, there you go.
But yeah, and that was like another weird thing, which I think that came out like within the next couple years or something, which is just an interesting thing. I'm sure that John Hughes probably loved Miracle on 34th Street or something. But
Well, he did the. Oh no, I can't think of what it's called. It's not. Is it Christmas Vacation that came out in the 80s? That was also like another big Christmas one. He just seems like a Christmas guy.
yeah, he did because he did the original Vacation movie. I know for sure, and I can't remember if he wrote the script. I'll look it up right now. But yeah, I do want to talk about John Hughes too because I love John Hughes, and like in very many ways, he is responsible for so much of what I liked as a child. Like, we watched Home Alone a ton growing up. We watched Ferris Bueller so much growing up. And those, like, just that John Hughes DNA being in anything, except for, I guess, Home Alone 3, which looks horrific, goes so far for me. Like, there's just something about that I just love. But yeah, even the Vacation movies and all that, like, he's just so... I feel like he's so good at writing great characters that, like, stick with you, that you really love, and they're full people. Like, you love them, and you also are like, the fuck is this guy doing? Like, what an idiot. But he's cool.
He's really good at, like, crafting really, like, kind of aggressive family relationships and then like turning it on its head at the end and making it be like, oh, they all love each other so much though. It's all so sweet now, that you kind of forget how vile they are to each other in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, can we talk about Uncle Frank for 2 seconds?
Oh my
Please.
gosh.
Wow.
I just hate him. That's all. That's the 2 seconds. He's the worst.
The moment when he's bringing in the shrimp and the aunt's like in the back saying, that's for later, that's for later. And he clearly hears her and ignores her.
But then he does have a very good tactic. He gives them to the kids first. Because what are you going to do? Take a shrimp from a kid?
Yeah.
So it's like, lines, it's already out here. Yeah, that moment, and the moment on the plane when he's like trying to get his wife to put the glasses in her purse,
Yeah.
like makes me cringe so much.
And the stewardess is right there.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, fill this up, please.
And then she like gives him a little bit. He's like, no, fill it all the way. I'm like, okay, dude. It's
And when
free,
he first
right?
walks on the plane,
Rational.
he's like, champagne, it's free, right? He's like ready to get wasted on that plane.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he would compare leaving his reading glasses to them leaving their child at home just tells you what kind of person he is.
I do feel like that is like a foot in the mouth moment that I would do, like trying to make someone feel better. Like, oh, I forgot my reading glasses.
we're all
Like,
forgetful.
It's okay. We all forget stuff.
So I don't know if it's bad that I relate to Uncle Frank in that moment.
Oh no.
I can understand cousins and siblings being mean to each other. But, like, I couldn't suspend my disbelief over a grown-up being mean to the kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I could, but
Can't do it.
Kevin's parents just like standing there when he's like, look what you did, you little jerk. And they're all just like, yeah, he's our kid and he is a jerk. Like, if I had a child and someone yelled at them that way, I don't think I could just stand there and be like, yeah, you deserve that. Like, I would freak out.
But
Oh,
then
it's just
later
too
you'd be
much.
like, you little jerk.
It's okay. Like, it's okay if the parents do it, but not if like an uncle does it. That's too much. That's too far.
This whole family is like that. Like, when... So they think that Harry is a legit police officer standing in the entryway to their home trying to
Chilling.
find an adult to talk to. Are your parents home? Yeah. Can I talk to them? They don't live here. Yeah, what do you think he was trying to ask? Don't be stupid. Everybody is like that. I feel like I grew up thinking that people are just mean because I feel like everybody in 90s movies is mean.
Oh yeah.
and pithy and quick to have the sarcastic remark.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing that hurt me the most, is that I felt stupid. I felt like maybe I was an idiot growing up because I couldn't make cool references and stuff. And
I also was certain that I was going to wake up one day and my parents would be gone. Because how many movies, I mean, like, this is, you know, like the OG, but so many movies I feel like have kids just kind of like surviving by theirself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of world did we think we were going to grow up into?
That's honestly another movie I watched a ton when I was younger is Blank Check. I don't know if anyone's seen Blank
I was
Check.
just thinking about that. That movie made me feel really weird when I was a little kid.
Okay.
Because there. Okay, go ahead.
No, go
ahead.
for it. I wanna hear
Well, I was
what
just
made
gonna
you
say,
feel weird.
isn't that the movie where the little boy kisses the adult woman at the end of
Yes,
the movie? Because he's
it
like got a
is.
major crush on her.
Yes, that's exactly
That was-
what I was going to bring up.
That-
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, now I
I
feel
mean, I had
gross.
crushes on adult women when I was a little boy, but like seeing that in a movie, like I did not know how to feel about it. It was weird and gross, and I still to this day feel disgusting when I think about that movie.
It was it's a confusing movie. For anyone who doesn't know, the high-level concept of Blank Check is that he gets a blank check from his grandma for his birthday, and he cashes it for $1 million, and then hires Sinbad to be like his
Yeah.
bodyguard, which is great. If you've got the money... For everything I've learned from movies, definitely hire Sinbad to be your bodyguard. He is awesome, he's cool, and he will keep you safe, probably. But yeah, and then I don't remember who that woman is.
I don't remember their relationship, but he falls in love with her.
Yeah.
And he's like 10 or 11 or 12 in
Yeah.
And then they kiss at the end of the movie.
Well, thanks for putting that in my head, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Everyone should watch it. But that's another movie I watched a ton growing up, and it was like that same idea of like, man, I could just get $1 million on accident. Like, nope.
I feel like I still think that's going to happen someday. It's like, okay, I'll be rich someday.
I will say, like, over the years, it's just that number's just dropped lower and lower, and it's like, you know what? If I got paid like $40,000 a year just to do what I actually want to do, I wouldn't ask for anything else. Please.
How sad is the state of, like, the everything? That, like, that's our dream now. $40,000 a year to do something that doesn't make me want to kill myself.
That's the equivalent of me dreaming of having $1 million when I was 11. It's still, that's the thing, is it's so small and it's still just as far out of reach. I feel like I'm like, why? Where is it? Anyways.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
It wouldn't be
Happy
Christmas
holidays.
without an existential crisis.
Well,
This is
on
true.
that note, my comment after we watched this evening with our kids, I told Gwen, like the only thing that I could think of is how much I hate nostalgia, because it makes me sad. Like, it is a sad feeling, but
Sometimes.
it's like there's a happiness that goes along with it. And for me, like, I watch these movies and I'm thinking like, that person's dead, that person's dead. All these people have been dead for years and years and years. Like, oh, this was how long ago? It came out 30 years ago, I think. Where am I going to be in 30 years? Oh, well, my grandparents are probably all going to be dead in 30 years. Like, I'm going to be old in 30. Like, these are the thoughts that I'm having as I'm watching Home Alone. That just kind of tells you about the state of my mind. But, yeah,
The window is closing.
that's how I feel.
And I can say that because I know exactly how you feel.
Thank you.
I feel it every day. It's terrifying.
These are supposed to be like, I have all these happy memories about like watching Home Alone as a kid, but then it's like, man, that was a long time ago, and now I'm old and getting older, and I've got kids, and they're gonna grow up, and it just makes me sad.
Yeah. It's weird. I think part of that feeling for me is that I don't know what I'm going to feel that way about anymore.
Right?
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It just
Like,
happens.
Yeah. And it's like, I might not ever really get that back. You know
Yeah,
what I
yep,
mean?
Yep.
Which is weird. That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Anyways.
Anyways.
Yeah. What movie did we watch? Home Alone. That's Getting ready for Christmas.
That was a direction that we went.
Hug your
So
parents or something.
I have something sort of along the same lines. So when the kids are looking out the window at Old Man Marley, the shovel guy, and they like have this theory like, oh, he's a serial killer, and they put the bodies in the salt, and they have convinced themselves that this is what's happening. Did you guys have anything like that as kids?
Yes.
Like, I feel like I did, and I can't think of any, but I know that feeling of like, I'm going to make up this story, and I'm going to make myself believe it.
So there was this man in the neighborhood. He had a beard. That's all I remember about him.
Sinister.
Arguably the most important thing to remember. Go
We
on.
called him Harry Puff. And yep. If you guys laugh, then I'm going to laugh, and I'm never going to get through it.
Tell us about Harry Puff.
The rumor was that he killed and ate small children.
Oh my god.
And I remember in vivid detail telling my little friend, I was also small, but you know, he was smaller than me, about this and like all the things that Harry Puff was going to do to him. And he was just crying and he was like, I'm going home now. I don't know what happened after that. I mean, we stayed friends, but yeah, I was like, yeah, Harry Puff's going to make you into soup. Like, you're going to be soup. And I still feel so bad about it. I think I was like 6.
How does stuff like that get started? Where does that come from?
Well,
I have no idea.
I've been thinking about this too in hearing your guys' experience with Frozen 2 and just like thinking of your son being like, they're dead or like they're gonna die. Like, what a weird, like, what is that relationship that you have to death when you're younger? It's so weird. It almost feels like you have to do that to eventually understand how serious it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Tyr did ask me this morning when the dead cat was coming back. So he doesn't quite get it yet.
Right. But yeah, that's so weird. So interesting. Kids are interesting. Gosh. Yeah, Home Alone is a terrible. Yeah, I'm like having an existential breakdown right now. I feel like
You
I'm
need
sorry.
to lay down.
It actually, I think that it kind of shows a little bit of the strength of this movie because it is such a fun holiday movie, especially for children, because it's the end of that movie is just a good time when you're a little kid. My kids were laughing their heads off at all of the terrible things that were happening to the robbers. But even as like a parent, there's so many relatable things in there, or just even though the movie came out so long ago, it's like I was thinking about Strangers on a Train when we were watching that, and it's still there's this lasting power to like the kind of universal human emotions that you experience in watching these movies, and it doesn't matter what time frame they're placed in, or the technology that was used, or just just the time frame. But it lasts, and the story sticks with you because it's a real human story.
Yeah. I
Even though it's so fun and gimmicky and kind
Right.
of dumb at the same time, but there's something there that really kind of keeps drawing you back, even as you get older and grow up.
Yeah. I think one of the things in this movie too is kind of been thinking about that. Every character is a victim of fate in a really cruel way at some point. Like Kevin gets left behind, like of no fault of his own. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that his actions led to him being sent upstairs, and that. But you know that, like, yeah, exactly, yeah. Like I said, someone could make the argument if they were a monster. No, but
Mom does that in the second one. Which, if we talk about the second one, we can talk about that.
But even like the moment I keep thinking about is the mom getting home after her incredible journey from Paris, literal minutes before everyone else walks through the door, which is a cruel, just like fuck you to like the idea of giving a shit. Almost, you know what I mean? It's like this insane thing, but it's fun. Like it doesn't ever feel like that until you strip it, until you just start looking at the pieces, and there's a lot of like just cruel fate in this movie that I think resonates with me in a pleasing way, and it's delivered on like just delicious enough of a plate that I love it all.
I think the pizza guy gets the worst of it, personally.
Yeah.
Just has to go to that house.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I did get distracted thinking about what delivering pizza must have been like before you had an iPhone. Because you would have to know how to get places. And that is a skill that nobody has anymore.
Read
It's
a map
true.
like a psycho.
Like, I got lost on my way here.
Yeah.
And I have my iPhone. It failed me, and I was helpless.
I super love it that the pizza guy did not call the police after
Yeah.
being shot at, to his knowledge.
But also, isn't there a part of you as a teenager that would have been scared that you would have been the one that did something wrong in that situation? Like, that's what I thought about was getting back in that car. It's like, I'm just going to leave here and I'm not going to talk about it because what if I get in trouble?
It's my fault.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Know that I hit that statue.
One too many times.
gosh. Yeah, the statue is a cruel, like, it's just a victim of people just not giving a shit.
The Murphys across the street have their house flooded.
That pisses me off so much.
Right?
I hate that. There's so much about this movie as an adult that I just hate seeing. The way that it makes me feel, I get so angry. Like, I don't care that they stole all the crap out of that house, but the fact that he turned the water on, that makes me so mad. And, like, obviously, Joe Pesci's character, he's like, man, you're sick. Like, he kind of feels a little bit of it, too. Like, there's a line that needs to be drawn, and destroying somebody's property like that, oh, man.
There's
Jeez.
something about that scene of Kevin going into their cellar and just being waist deep in water that really just twists my insides in a way that, ugh, it's
But
rough.
it doesn't even faze him. He's just like, oh yeah, there's water in here. Just like walks
Man,
through
these
it.
neighbors are weird.
Fine.
But he also knows they're in Paris. I feel like he knows. I feel like somebody mentioned, maybe it's not Kevin, maybe it's somebody else.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
mind.
He says, wait, I thought they were in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his parents are in Paris. The Murphys went to Florida.
That's right.
Because the little kid Murphy wouldn't shut up about it.
Gosh.
I
Great
watched
character.
the Netflix, The Movies That Made Us. I watched the Home Alone one.
Oh, cool.
I had no idea that the inside of the house was a set.
Oh,
I just, like, it never, I'm not, like, a huge movie person like you guys are, and it never occurred to me
yeah.
that was completely built in it was like in a gym or in a school. Mm-hmm. I just found that astonishing.
Yeah. It's so cool. That's like one of those things that it really does. It's so invisible. Like, I think that's the best thing about movies is the stuff that you find out about 6 years after you've seen a thing and you're like, no, it can't be. I was fooled again. But yeah, it's so good. It's so great.
I won't tell you how old I was when it occurred to me that actors wear wigs a lot of the time.
Well, I got news for you. I was now years old.
But not like regular hair, like interesting hair. The hair that a normal person wouldn't have.
Like Hagrid.
Jack Sparrow.
Okay, hold on. Hagrid, that was the first weird hair you
Well,
thought
his
of?
hair's like wild.
He has huge hair. But no, it was Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh yeah, people have hair like that. And then I was watching the bloopers when I was like 14 on the DVD, and his wig falls off, and I was like, oh.
Movies teach us a lot of important lessons, I feel like.
Don't trust anything.
It's all fake.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that we want to talk about with Home Alone? We have really, been everywhere with this.
Just one quick thing that documentary pointed out that I didn't notice until this watch through. Everything in the house is red and green. Every single rug, every single curtain,
The wallpaper.
the bedspread, the wallpaper, the paint, everything except the tile in the kitchen on the counter, which is slightly blue. And now it looks horribly garish to me,
Interesting.
and it ruined it.
Thank you for that.
I just wanted you to share in my misery.
They just love Christmas. It's their favorite time of year.
Redecorate the whole dang house.
Well, I guess the last time we all watched Home Alone was this time. I'm done now. Is there anything else that anyone was time to bring up? We've really run the gamut into topics I did not think we would broach on this episode. All right, well, if that's all, we'll go ahead and take a quick break and then be back for recommendation. Welcome to the recommendation section of our podcast, where we talk about other stuff that we're watching during the week or month or whenever. Riley, why don't you start us off? What do you have to recommend for us? Please tell me that Austria has a Love Island now.
Not yet. I'm still waiting for Austria. One day we'll get there.
No way.
That's when I'll watch it.
I will alert you immediately when it happens.
Excellent.
This is another reality show, though. Apparently, that's all I watch. I don't know. But it's called Glow Up, and it's on Netflix, and it's a makeup artist competition. Oh. And so, like, every week they'll have a different, like, kind of, like, medium they have to work in. Like, the first week was just, like, editorial, and then they did prosthetics, and then, like, stage makeup, and it was drag stage makeup, so it was really, like, wild. Yeah, and it's just a really fun watch, and it's cool to just see how differently people interpret the same, like, goal, you know, like, it's really cool, so I enjoy it.
So is it pretty traditional, like, competition thing where they're, like, eliminating people each week? Okay.
Yeah, so they'll have, like, 2 different, like, competitions each week, and if they do poorly in the first one, then they're in the red chairs for the second one. But within that competition, they can, like, work themselves out of the red chairs. They don't have to go to the face-off. And in the face-off, they have to do makeup on identical twins. And they have, like, 10 minutes to do, like, something really fast. And it's really interesting.
From a production standpoint, that fascinates me. I would just love to be the twin booker.
Yeah.
Like, I need twins, and I need 10 of them.
It's the same twins every week.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even
It's
better.
the same ones.
That's delightful.
That's great.
That's great. That's like in Taskmaster, one of the running things every season is there's always a task that involves a Swedish person, and it's always a Swedish person. And it's always the same Swedish guy.
That's amazing.
It's great. That show has made me think that Brits are wildly racist against Nordic people. I don't know. It's a bizarre thing.
I think Brits are just wildly racist.
That's probably fair.
Unfortunately.
So my recommendations for this week, just quickly in Tyler's Wrestling Corner, Google the Lucha Brothers. I'm going to show you. I've been forcing everyone to watch a video. It's real good. Wrestling is still a thing. Also, this week, actually today, I watched the first episode of the Witcher series on Netflix, which is based on books and a game, sort of, but mostly the books for this series. And it's a series of books I really love, and I also really love the games. And so I watched the pilot, and I'm not sure how to feel about it yet. There's some things I really love about it. A lot of the conversation around this show that is going to be difficult is that everyone's like, yeah, it's Netflix trying to do Game of Thrones, and man, The Witcher is really not Game of Thrones in very many ways.
I saw a headline today that it was the only thing that I read. I didn't read the article, but the headline just said, "The Witcher kicks ass when it stops pretending to be Game of Thrones."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I think from what I can tell, it kind of grows a bit as you progress through the story, and it becomes kind of its own thing.
I'm glad to
That's
hear
what I've heard.
that. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm glad to hear that because The Witcher really is like its own fantasy thing. Like, I feel like forever it was Lord of the Rings was the fantasy thing that everyone was expecting whenever they saw anything fantasy. Now it'll be Game of Thrones. But yeah, The Witcher, at least from the books and stuff, is kind of like this union of Lord of the Rings high fantasy and the dark weirdness of like Grimm's fairy tales. And so I hope that's kind of what they lean into as the series goes on. But Henry Cavill is the lead in that, and I thought I was going to hate it, but he's pretty damn good, and the fighting is cool. So I don't know. I'll probably talk about it next week. I'll probably finish it this week or something. But yeah, the only other thing I wanted to recommend real quick is a game I've been playing called Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. And it is a video game where the setup is that you are a man who goes and joins a poker game and then loses said poker game and realizes you're playing with the devil, and you're sentenced to walk the United States in a very Americana-feeling 1930s-ish time period and collect stories from people. And then you tell those stories to people, and you'll get those. It's basically all about the way that stories evolve as they're passed along and what they turn into, and the power of the right story for the right person. And
So Telephone the video game?
sort of, yeah. And it's kind of gamified in this interesting way where you're kind of just walking around this map as this skeleton with a bindle over his shoulder, and finding these snippets of story. And then you'll encounter these campfires where like other travelers are at, and they'll be like, "You look like you are good at telling jokes. Why don't you tell me a funny story?" And then you've got this arsenal of stories that you've picked up over time. And as you tell people stories they want to hear, they open up to you and tell you their stories, which you can then like pass on. It's this really interesting thing. I'm only a few hours in, but it's really fascinating and really cool. I definitely recommend it. It's a pretty cool experience. So, but yeah, that's all I have. Justin, do you have something for recommendations?
Yeah, I'm going to take Tyler McKinley's. I suppose it would have been his recommendation for this week. Based on his recommendation, actually, he texted everybody and said, "Hey, if you haven't started watching Don't Fuck with Cats on Netflix, give it a watch." And so I watched the first episode today, and I've been thinking about it ever since then. It's I wonder if that's kind of like why my mindset was where it was when I watched Home Alone afterwards. But yeah, it's about this man. So I think this happened in like 2010. There was a video posted on YouTube of a guy who killed a couple of kittens using a vacuum sealer bag. It's just really horrible stuff. And yeah, it's rough. But there was a community of people that kind of came together trying to find out who this person was in order to, like, you know, serve justice and have him thrown in jail or whatever. And turns out that there's more to it than just it was just some rando on the internet posting a terrible video, being sick for likes or whatever, or for views. It goes a lot deeper than that. And I was talking to Gwen about like kind of this. I find it so strange that we have this, and this is appropriate for Amber being here too. This fascination with like smart, intelligent, and really thoughtful people doing terrible, terrible things. Specifically, like serial killer. Like there's this fascination about it that is so interesting from a like weird thing that we do as human beings. And I'm anxious to watch episodes 2 and 3 to see kind of where this goes, because I don't remember, like I have memories of hearing about this on the news, but it's like a decade ago that it started. Right. I don't remember when it finished up or who got caught or if anybody did, but I can already tell that there's going to be some pretty crazy stuff that happens, and just like kind of getting a peek into this mind that comes up with these puzzles that are just horrible and terrible, and man, I don't know. It's wild and really great production value. Like, it's a fascinating documentary. Yeah, I'm sure I'll have to let Tyler talk about it more when he's back on if we remember to. But because I'd really like to hear what he has to think about it as well. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm fascinated by that. That seems like it'd be an interesting watch. So, Gwen, do you have anything?
Well, I started Good Omens this week.
Oh.
I read the book probably 5 or 6 years ago and didn't really have that much of an impression on me, but I enjoyed the episode that I watched, but I'm not feeling super compelled to continue, so follow up, I guess.
Yeah, I got about 3 episodes into that, and then I stopped watching it, and then like 3 months later, I was like, I stopped watching that. if that's any indication of like, I don't know, it didn't super land with me. And I love both those actors too.
Yeah, they were fantastic, and it was, you know, witty and fun and lighthearted. And I got to the end and was like, oh, that was fun. I'm gonna go to bed. Like, I didn't want to start the next one.
Is this on Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm just still reading Edge of Eternity, and this one I think is a little bit, I want to say less well crafted than the other two, just because it covers so many years. But one of the original, not plot points, but character arcs just finished up, and you only get to see it finishing up for like a page. But the way that it's placed in the larger arc of the story, and the way that you've followed this character from a distance for 3 massive books, it was really good writing.
Cool. And that's Ken Follett, right?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Cool. And you're reading the third of this trilogy? Cool. Cool. Yeah, you mentioned that. Even you just mentioning the name Robert Oppenheimer last week, I was like, oh yeah. And I was like Wikipediaing a bunch of stuff about Robert Oppenheimer and
He's
stuff.
a fascinating man.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Those books sound really cool. Awesome. Amber, do you have anything to recommend for us?
I'm going to plug my own podcast.
Please do.
Which is called Normal and Good. And like I said earlier, we are rewatching the show Hannibal that was on NBC from 2013 to 2015. And I also just want to thank you guys all really quick, because it was your podcast that got me back in podcasting.
Oh, good.
So I was like, that's a cool... I like
Those
this.
schmucks can do it.
Like, not to lend credence to that, but you did make it seem like really doable and accessible.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the podcasts that I listen to and have listened to for a decade and a half are all super professional and produced, And I was like, oh, they don't have to be like that anymore.
Yeah.
This is the age of podcasting. So I did try to do your quick summary thing. Doesn't work with Hannibal. I had to give it up. It was it was so much. I ended up just saying literally everything that happens, and then I was like, well, then what's even the point? So,
well, great. Now I'm rethinking everything.
I love yours. Yours are much funnier and better than mine. It also just doesn't lend itself to quite as much humor, because it's gritty and dark and, murder and cannibals.
It's the guy from the 007 movies, right?
Yeah, it's Mads Mikkelsen, who played Liz Sheaf in Casino Royale, and I think the one after that, too. I fell asleep when I tried to watch that.
Also in Death Stranding.
That's my exact story I have with Quantum of Solace. It's the only time I've fallen asleep in a movie theater is when I tried to watch that movie.
I wasn't in a movie theater, in my defense.
Yeah, that's fair.
You are the worst person.
Or maybe Quantum of Solace sucks. Let's say it together.
I literally don't remember anything about that James Bond movie.
That's true. I guess it could be. Yeah, no, it's not good or memorable. I remember a woman is killed and covered in oil because there's something about people fighting over oil.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is fucked up in a way that I'm going to sleep now.
I don't remember that.
Exact thought process.
Don't remember that at all.
Oh, so one thing I do want to ask, where's the best place to watch Hannibal? Is it streaming anywhere?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, okay, cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, I wish it was on Netflix, because I try not to support Amazon if I can avoid it, but they have my favorite TV show, so what are you going to do? Yeah. It is in no way related to the movies with Anthony Hopkins. I guess you could say it functions as a prequel to those stories, like Silence of the Lambs and Red Dragon, but I haven't seen those because I don't want them in my head while I'm doing this.
Oh,
so they are on my very, very next things to do. Because everyone's like, "Oh, have you seen?" No, I have not.
Can't wait for you to watch it.
I'll probably do a podcast about it.
Yeah,
because I might as well at this point. So that's, I think, one of the things. But another thing that I wanted to just recommend, I guess, is the podcast Cold. It's produced by KSL TV, and it covers the disappearance of Susan Powell, who disappeared in 2009. It's been 10 years. and her husband was the prime suspect, but they could never get anything concrete. And then in, I think, 2013, he killed himself and their 2 sons. And it's a local investigative journalist, digs deep into all the stuff, and it is fascinating and horrifying, but I have listened to the whole season like 3 times because it's really good and it's really well done podcast. So
Yeah.
So close to home, too.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
they held a memorial for her. December 7th, 2009 was the day that she was reported missing. And on December 6th, just a few weeks ago, they had a memorial, like an event with panel with like her friends and the media and people who were there at the time. So I went up for that, and it was really emotional. I cried a lot.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you do?
Knocked my ring against it.
Well, cool. Thank you for those recommendations. One more time, that's Normal and Good Podcast. I assume you're everywhere.
Yep, we're on
Spotify,
iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, that about does it for us then. So the next couple weeks... Oh, I didn't plug these before, so I will now. If you'd like to reach out to us, usually Mitchell reminds me, and he's not here. You can reach out to us at our email address at rewatchersonthepod@gmail.com, or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at rewatcherspod, or our tax shelter company on Facebook, CBA Productions. That's it. And the next couple weeks, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Marcus Marinos will be joining us again, who was on our Twin Peaks episodes, a really good friend. And we are going to, over the next couple weeks, be talking about our favorite movies of the year of 2019, and then also our favorite movies of the last decade, which is a phenomenal undertaking to narrow down to one, I'm realizing extremely quickly. But it should be fun. So we'll go ahead and do that the next couple weeks. Yeah, do you have something?
I just want to say I'm not going to be here, obviously, but my favorite movie of the decade was Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, that's a
a
very
good
good
one.
choice. That is on my short list for sure. Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, until next week, signing off, this is Tyler Harris.
Riley Harris.
Gwen Hammer.
Justin Hammer.
And our very special guest.
Amber Sorenson.
Thanks again for joining us, Amber.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
See you next week. Love ya.
Bye.
Ready.